Football Queensland's coverage of the 2019 NPL, NPLW and FQPL season is brought to you by Play Football. Join the team today. Visit playfootball.com.au to find your nearest club. Football Foundation, making football more accessible for every income, every gender, every ability, every background, every Indigenous Queenslander. Donate today.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Croatian Sports Centre at Carrara on the Gold Coast. As you can hear, it's a blustery one, as it has been in the southeast Queensland corner over the last couple of days. It's round 27 action, our NPL Queensland match of the week, and it takes place between the Gold Coast Knights and the Brisbane Strikers. It's Rafe Griffin with you in commentary. I've got a special guest with me tonight, Pat Hedges. How are you this evening?
I'm very well, thanks, Rafe. Bit chilly, 13 jackets on.
It is quite a cool one, as we've said. We're just waiting for the two teams to emerge. Gold Coast Knights looking to extract some revenge after the Brisbane Strikers knocked them out of the FFA Cup at this venue earlier in the year. And Pat, we saw the Strikers win on Wednesday night against the Wellington Phoenix. Do you think they'll have an FFA Cup hangover just 72 hours after that massive result in playing 2 hours of football?
I had this conversation with Owen last night, actually. A few of us went out for a dinner and a few drinks, and I said to him, after a big high normally comes a big low, so be careful. So I think he's prepared for it.
And a couple of key players out as well. We'll take you through that in just a moment. And while we're waiting for the two teams to come out, the Gold Coast Knights would like to thank the support of the Surf City Cup. Game 1 between the Brisbane Roar and Perth Glory coming up very shortly in the next couple of weeks here at the Croatian Sports Centre, while the Brisbane Strikers are thankful of the support of Symbio Laboratories and Guzman and Gomez. Well, the outdoor football season is almost over, but that doesn't mean you have to stop playing. Futsal is perfect for keeping fit and improving your technical skills come season's end. Keep your outdoor team together and play futsal during the off-season. Visit playfutsalqld.com.au. While we're waiting for the two teams coming out, there's some interesting results going on around the grounds, Pat, as we just delve into those momentarily. And last night, Redlands United continued on their winning ways, 3-0 winners against Gold Coast United. So they're fighting towards a top 5 finish out at the Cleveland Showgrounds.
Yeah, Rossic's done some fantastic things there. I think that's now 6-7 wins on the bounce, so he's done some good stuff out there.
And some interesting results also happening around the grounds at the moment. They're into stoppage time at Heath Park in the early kick-off. And Magpies Crusaders certainly helping their chances of avoiding relegation. They're 4-1 up against Eastern Suburbs, and in somewhat of another upset, Southwest Queensland Thunder midway through the second half lead Moreton Bay by 2-1, and Lions, who are top of the table, looking to stay there 1-0 leaders over Western Pride. This is the only other game being played this evening. Two teams are starting to congregate the corner of the field as they are led on to the field by the match officials. Let's take you through the two squads for this evening's game. Well, for the Gold Coast Knights, in goal is Josh Langdon, 3 Oscar Dillon, 4 Danny Morton, 6 Ryan Hoffman, 8 Matt Smith, 9 Sam Smith, 10 Max Brown, 11 Jaden Prasad, 12 Adam Endine, 13 Jared Kyle, 14 Kai Tapeldo, 15 Shannon Brady, 16 Mitch Nichols, 23 Matt Schmidt, and 26 Luke Austin. The reserve keeper is Tim Allen. The Gold Coast Knights are coached by Gray Piddock. For For the Strikers, in goal is Bon Scott, 2 Chris Marr, 3 Michael McGowan, 4 Matt Richardson, 5 Lord Caberlin, 6 Scott Halliday, 7 Fraser Hills, 8 Ryan Palmer, 10 Jake McLean, 11 Zach Maltby, 14 Dongyu Kim, 16 Josh Matcham, 18 Cade McDermott, 21 Danilo Kovacevic, 26 Aidan Bender, and our reserve keeper for the Strikers this evening is Tommy Masaric. The Strikers are coached by Owen Baker. Our match officials powered by Total Tools this evening. With the whistle is Adam Kersey. He'll be assisted by Cameron Fawcett and Dion Bradley. So Pat, the pundit, you've got to provide a prediction for this game.
Oh, that's a tough one. A really tough one. Prior to seeing the two boys out for the Strikers, I fancied the Strikers. Now I'm tending to swing back the other way. Also, Sean Lane's a bit of a talisman. I think he's probably brought some energy and enthusiasm back alongside Gray's tactical noose, and I think he'll lift the Knights players, just his presence being there as well. So I'm Gold Coast Knights to nudge it at the moment.
It's been interesting. There have been basically blowouts in the previous 2 encounters this year. It was the Strikers who went down to the Gold Coast Knights back in the league back in round 10, the Easter Monday round. 6-1, thumping by Gold Coast Knights over the Strikers that evening. And then in the FFA Cup, as I mentioned earlier, it was the Strikers that prevailed 5-1 here at the Croatian Sports Centre. So we're just about to get underway. Strikers will have first possession.
Matt Smith's been a huge signing.
He has been. Experience in the back line. And Kersey with the final checks, and will be underway very, very shortly. Round 27 of the NPL Queensland. Our match of the week takes place from the Croatian Sports Centre. It's the Gold Coast Knights at home to the Brisbane Strikers. And Pat, as you said, a couple of big outs for the Brisbane Strikers this evening. No Andy Pengelly and no Hiroki Amori.
They're going to miss Hero. Going to really miss Hero. He's on form at the moment. Adam Pengelly's scoring some goals, but Hero's going to be the big one I think they're going to miss.
Of course, both of them the goal scorers in the penalty shootout win on Wednesday night against the Wellington Phoenix in the round of 32 of the FFA Cup. Andy Pengelly, the Golden Boot leader, 36 goals, scoring 57% of the Strikers' goals this year. His next closest teammate, you go from 36 down to 5 with Zach Maltby, who starts up top this evening.
I did a little bit of further research there, and correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently he scored 20 of them goals against the bottom 4 or 5 teams. So let's see how he does against. Well, he won't be. He's not playing.
Not playing tonight. Of course, 9 against the Sunshine Coast Fire a couple of weeks ago. 4 against the Raw last week. Got a break after an hour as the ball was played out towards Jake McLean. Hills. In fact, that's Jake McLean there in the 10 shirt. Ma out here on this left wing. He's swapped sides this evening with the unavailability of Amori. Both Amori and Pengelly were injured. So Ma moves to the left, and that's no loss at all. Ma can basically defend in any position.
Cracking ball there as well.
Lloyd Caberlin on the right fullback position as we have an early free kick going the visitors' way. McLean is the man trudging over to take it. Plenty of push and shove coming in from McGowan, trying to find his space inside the 6-yard box. That'll be an interesting battle there up against Matt Smith. Adam Kersey blows the whistle. In comes the free kick from McLean, and it's turned away for a corner by Matt Schmidt. You can hear that wind really whipping up in our effects mic. It's was warm up until Thursday, 28 degrees on Thursday, and then right on cue with the Eka, the winter westerlies came in.
Every year.
It's almost like clockwork. So first corner of the evening, coming the Strikers' way. Palmer the man to take it. Swung in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It evades the Knights defender in the initial instance as it's tried to be chipped there by Kim. Off target. First shot in anger for this evening for the Strikers. Where do you see with Andy Pengelly out tonight? How do you think the Strikers are going to threaten that back four of the Knights?
Well, and Hero, because Hero's a provider as well. Look, Zach Maltby's got a little bit of skill. You've got the boys through the middle there that are all very, very good players. Fraser Hills, Jake McLean, they can all play a bit. They can hurt them there. It all depends on the Knights. Normally the Knights are very conservative for the first 20 minutes, half an hour of a game. They seem to build into a game. I think if the Strikers take it to them early, we should see something a little bit exciting.
Hills pushed over by Luke Austin. Free kick just inside the Strikers' defensive territory. McLean presents himself as an option. Instead, it's played for McDermott. McDermott comes under some pressure. McLean. Won by the Knights. Austin tries to dance his way around Mark. Gets the favourable touch off the Strikers' left back. Knights coming into this game in third position with 18 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses. 63 goals for and 20 against. As they make a break here through Prasad. It looks to cut back from the goal line and just content to earn his side the corner. And the Strikers come in 5th. They're no chance of making the finals there. 15 points off the 4th placed Olympic. As we see Nichols, the corner taker, the ball in towards the back stick, nodded on by his former Brisbane Roar teammate in Matt Smith, away from the target. So Pat, both sides with an early chance.
Yeah, I think the Strikers have started a little bit better of the two, to be honest with you. I thought that when it calmed down, it suddenly come back with a vengeance.
It's variable. It came up right on kick-off time, died off a little, and now it's back. We're in the high position in the media tower here at the Croatian Sports Centre.
It's going to have an effect on the game, definitely. It's coming straight across the field as well, isn't it? So
yeah, right from behind our backs from the west. You can see the flags probably there in the background, blowing straight towards the sea. Chris Marr. McDermott didn't have the best of games in the FFA Cup tie that the Strikers played against Gold Coast Knights earlier, back in May that was. Just completing the Strikers, 12 wins, 3 draws, 9 losses this year. Scored the same amount of goals as the Gold Coast Knights in 63, but conceded 45, and that puts them 7th in terms of their defence, in terms of goals conceded. Last week, both teams coming off wins. The Strikers 4-1 against the Roar. Gold Coast Knights were 3-0 victors away from home against Brisbane City. The Knights just lost once in the last 18. That was a loss to Lions, the league leaders, back in round 24. Undefeated at home this season. The Strikers had variable form. It's been win, loss, win, loss, win in the last 5. And you talked about Sean Lane, the assistant coach, coming back after a stint at in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, a club called Mocha Dhaka FC or something. Sounds like I'm speaking.
Your Bangladeshi is better than mine.
Yeah. He did really, really well over there as well. I actually helped him a little bit with some opposition analyst stuff over there, so I was getting up in the middle of the night to watch Bangladeshi Premier League.
What was the standard like?
It's all right. There's World Cup players playing over there. They play in big stadiums, but he told me some funny stories. He turned up for a game that was running late, and there was a little Bangladeshi fella out there with a lawnmower. Just a garden mower mowing the lawn. Someone marking the lines with a mop and buckets and things like that. But, you know, it works.
It really is the world game. It's we're quite fortuitous for playing on a great surface tonight, but yeah, right around the world, the different surfaces that are played on and the different preparation.
Well, he was telling me he walks down the street in Dhaka there, and everyone knows him because a little local newspaper there, 29 million people read it. So.
I could only dream of that. Yeah, you said the wind's going to affect things, and you could see that ball being affected by the breeze, the free kick from Langdon.
Yeah, things are going to start swinging over to that side of the field, aren't they?
Absolutely. So you can probably hear that wind just gusting up once more. Nichols with the win for the Gold Coast Knights. Trying to tandem with Prasad. Here's Prasad again. Hacked away by Richardson of the Strikers. And it's going to be picked up by Langdon right at the edge of the area, coming under some pressure from Maltby. This Gold Coast Knights look to move it very quickly, already into their own half. Brown. Oh, cheap turnover. Uncharacteristic from Max Brown, and then it was Kim trying to pick out Maltby on this left-hand side, but once again the wind. The players are just going to have to adjust for that a little. Might take them a little bit of time to work out what, especially now that it's blustery as well. Here is Matt Smith, his fourth game for the Gold Coast Knights, the former Brisbane Roar A-League skipper, returning to Australia after stints in Asia. That's going to evade both Endine and Austin. 10 minutes gone. Still the feeling out process happening between these two sides. Good win by Endine just in front of McDermott. Once again, that ball being whipped across that far side. Here's McGowan. Ma. What adjustments do you have to make as a player, as a coach in these type of conditions? What would be the instructions from both coaches out to their charges about the conditions this evening?
Keep the ball on the floor and stay in contact with each other. Keep the ball. Everything in the air is just getting taken away, isn't it?
Yeah. And here's Bon Scott, the hero on Wednesday night. That magnificent save in extra time against the Wellington Phoenix. English striker David Ball winning himself the save of the night across all the FFA Cup games on Wednesday. Palmer. And again, it's Palmer on the halfway line. Richardson. As always, love to know your comments on this match, where you're watching in from. Let us know on the Football Queensland Facebook page. We'll try and get to them, particularly when the wind is a little bit lower like this. Don't lose the mobile off the platform here. Here's Ma. Hills just tasseled by Dillon. As the Gold Coast Knights again cut out Strikers' attacking movement. Oh, good win. Strikers come away with it. It's Maltby. Maltby one-on-one, and Langdon stretches out the left foot. Good opportunity there for the Strikers to take the lead. They're not out of danger yet, are the Knights. McLean is quickly surrounded by four white shirts, but first of all, the attack by the Strikers, and then the reflex save by Langdon.
Zach could be disappointed with that. Outside of his foot, I think he'd be disappointed with that.
Well, if there are any signs of an FFA Cup hangover from the Strikers, it's not eventuating in these early minutes. Of course, playing 2 hours of football, though, fitness might come into it.
Yeah, it might do. I like the way they play. This 4-4-2 with a diamond in the middle. They're actually getting lots of space in the middle of the park on the ball. And the Knights are defending with a very conservative 4-4-2 and dropping quite deep. Strikers are actually getting in between the lines and taking touches forward. So to me at the moment, they've settled into the game a little bit better.
Yeah, they are looking reasonably good so far. Mars calling for it on this left-hand side, but damn, it would have really been up against it with the wind.
You've got two contrasting styles here. You've got the Knights dropping off with the Strikers pressing them, and when the Strikers have got the ball, the Knights just drop off and let them have half the field. So interesting.
Nichols into the area. No one waiting for the Knights. There's been a free kick by Prasad, I think, in back play as the ball is being cleared. So Strikers will get some relief here. Pretty calm in the two technical areas so far. Not much movement.
Owen's very cool, calm, and collected. Anyway, he's not the most excitable chap on the bench.
No, I did notice that on Wednesday night. A couple of times he got very excited though. Well, and truly be proud of his side's effort to advance through the round of 16. Of course, the draw was made after that game on Wednesday night, and the Strikers with another home game in the round of 16 up against Manly United from the New South Wales NPL. Quite extraordinary. 4 Queensland teams through the last 16, 25%.
Yeah, 4 Queensland, that's fantastic. I don't think a lot of people realise he's only 29, but he's been coaching as a head coach for probably 10 years. You know, he started with rep teams down here on the Gold Coast. He's got his A licence, so he's educated himself as well. So 29 and 10 years experience, not bad.
Come back to that in a moment. In fact, we'll talk about that now, Pat. So obviously a young coach, as you say, still under 30. What was the decision? Do you know why the decision to sort of stop as a player and take over coaching? Was it an injury or something like that, or just more of an interest in coaching?
We actually played in the same team. I was a left winger, he was a left back, but I used to look after the Gold Coast Academy back in the old days, and he was an assistant coach, wanted to get involved as an assistant coach, and he's doing such a good job, and the head coach dropped out, and I give him a go, and he's never looked back.
Never looked back, yeah.
And he's had some good mentors with, Davey Large, Sean Lane, Kevin Evans, so he's been with some good people as well.
Well and truly done his apprenticeship.
Well and truly.
Here's Kim. It's all the Strikers through the first 16 minutes. Beats McLean. Can they punch them on the counter here? The Knights. Jared Kyle with the captain's armband this evening. It's going to slide past everyone, and Prasad able to reel it in just before the sideline. Nichols. Now Prasad again. Brown. Brown goes for the target. Skips it over the crossbar.
Speaking of Gerald Cole there, he's we hear about these big budgets for some of these teams, but Gerald, from what I've been told, he doesn't get paid to play.
I heard a similar story, yeah.
Yeah, he works in his mum and dad's fish and chip shop, so it's not really it's not really a fish and chip shop. It's a nice restaurant on the Isle of Capri, but I didn't know that, so fair play to him, because he can't commit to training. Work comes first.
Fringe benefits. He's had some time in Sydney FC.
Yeah, Sydney FC. He was in Sheffield Wednesday for a while as an apprentice.
Knights clear it towards the halfway line, and once again Prasad just unable to get control in the conditions.
Jared's a gentleman off the field, a really nice bloke off the field, but I wouldn't want to be a centre-back playing against him.
Takes no quarter. He got sent off in that FFA Cup game earlier on.
Yeah.
Here come the Knights. Endine. You've got an admirer out there, Pat. Frank Monteverdi asking whether you're on the co-commentary this evening as Maltby was held up.
Evening, Frank.
Cass supporting the Strikers. Josh Hogan saying Strikers fresh off beating Wellington. The Knights have no chance. Got a question from Russell Hicks asking, what do you think of the Strikers under 14s?
Oh, they were all right, Russell. Good coach. We've got a good coach, mate.
Leading question. Thanks for your company this evening. Probably a better place to be than here watching at home. Maltby was just tripped up. Ma looking to take the free kick.
Strikers really growing into this game now.
They certainly are. Take a look at the possession stats very shortly. McLean. Quick touch for Ma, who tried to force the anticipation of one of his teammates, neither Maltby or Hills. They both stick up their hands and saying...
This is where they lose missing hero down this left-hand side.
20 minutes played, no score at the Croatian Sports Centre in our NPL Queensland match of the week. After tonight, just 3 rounds remaining of the NPL regular season for finals time. Of course, there's an elimination final in the FQPL tonight. We'll check on that in just a moment. Roachdale up against Mitchelton. It's elimination all through the FQPL, the top 6. Grand final in a couple of weeks' time as we watch Nichols. Slid behind the heels of Jared Kyle. Now it's the Strikers looking to punch the Knights on the counter. Austin. Endine. Quick touch Nichols. Back for Endine. And McGowan has dealt with it. Ma will just provide a bit of composure, sending a ball long in search of McLean. Able to grab it the first time. He's got Kim outside of him. That's where he comes to. Takes the shot first time. Straight to Langdon on the near post. Better option there potentially for the Strikers?
Definitely. Should have gone out to the right. It's easy up here though, isn't it?
It is. Here's the Knights in position again. Austin. Hoffman. Just a sigh of exasperation over that effort. So yeah, let's check in on what's going on in that FQPL and other games around the grounds this evening. So half-time at Underwood Park and Roachdale lead Mitchelton by 1-0. Of course, the other elimination final tomorrow takes place between Logan Lightning and Ipswich Knights. And in the NPL, a major boost for Magpies Crusaders in their quest to stave off relegation. A big victory at Heath Park, 4-1 for the Magpies Crusaders against Eastern Suburbs. And into stoppage time, Southwest Queensland Thunder leads Moreton Bay 3-2. That's going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons in the relegation race. And Lions 1-0 leaders at half-time against Western Pride in the local derby. 2 games tomorrow with Sunshine Coast Fire at home to Power and Olympic hosting Brisbane City.
Oh, I think it's too late for Thunder now to claw back from there. They're 4 or 5 points out. So
they'll be hoping against hope.
yeah.
So yeah, that final spot probably going to come down to Magpies, Crusaders and Western Pride, and if the current score at Lions remains that way, it's the ascendancy back to Magpies, Crusaders again. Speaking of Magpies, Crusaders, of course, they were in the pot for the round of 16 after their victory against Coomera a couple of weeks ago. They're going to travel down to Melbourne to take on the Moreland Zebras, 21st of August. And then the other 3 Queensland teams at home, Olympic and Adelaide versus Adelaide United on the 21st of August at Perry Park. A week later, the Strikers will take on Manly, and then also on that night out at Dolphin Stadium, the Roar in an all A-League match against the Central Coast Mariners. Favourable draw for the Queenslanders, actually.
Really favourable draw. I don't, the Strikers Manly game, that's a winnable game. I mean, a really winnable game.
And of course, a familiar face, Charles Mendy.
Yeah.
Moved to the New South Wales NPL. We should be part of that Manly United set up in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Here's Kim. Mar continues his run. Once again, cut out by the Knights' defence, although straight back to Mar. Neither side wanting the ball in that area of the park. Nichols. Cameron momentarily has possession for the Strikers. Hoffman. Switch of play for Austin as the wind whips up once more. Endine. Austin, chip over the top for Endine and scooped up by Bon Scott very easily. Knocked off the play was Kim. Adam Kersey just goes, no, thank you very much.
Yeah, get up.
A-League referee Adam Kersey. It's not only the A-League sides in preparation for the season ahead, it's the referees as well. Nodded away by McGowan. Just having a look at the stats. Here's Brisbane Strikers favoured in the possession stats, 60-40 at the moment. And the Strikers also in terms of shots, 4 shots to the Gold Coast Knights 2. Knights haven't had one on target though. The Strikers have had 2 of those 4 on target. What's been your observation through the first 25 minutes, Pat?
Well, as you know, beginning I was favouring the Knights, but I think the Strikers are controlling things quite well at the moment, looking more dangerous going forward. I think they've got the numbers in the midfield. I think Mitch Nichols is on his own a little bit there.
And here is Nichols.
He's a great player, he makes a difference.
Prasad. And will they earn a corner here, the Knights? No, they won't, as Prasad skims one. Has it taken a touch off a Strikers play? Yes, says the match officials. So Gold Coast Knights the corner here from this near side of the park.
Should be able to whip this one in with the wind behind him.
Just a danger of it carrying too far potentially.
What do you reckon? Swing it in for goal.
Not a bad way to score.
Too far.
Dylan will be able to retrieve it. Hoffman. All forward in search of Dylan. It's Brown. And Hills nips in with a foot. Not enough to stop the Gold Coast Knights having possession again. Kyle. This will be Dylan in towards the penalty spot. Away by Hills. And blasted through. Scott couldn't hold it. The rebound falls for the Gold Coast Knights player. They've scored the first goal. Hang on, we've got to check here. The referee's over to go and talk to the assistant referee. And the goal stands. Gold Coast Knights against the run of play. have struck first. Just going to try and pick up the goal scorer.
I think it was Roman Hoffman.
I think yes, Roman Hoffman. So very much against the run of play, Pat, and the Gold Coast Knights have broken the deadlock.
I think Roman Hoffman had the shot in the first place and followed up his own shot, which, by the way, he's made a career out of doing similar kind of things, you know.
So it was all strikers, but they've conceded first. Don Scott, as Pat said, unable to hold on to the initial shot from Roman Hoffman, who then followed up. And that's how the Gold Coast Knights have scored.
Now they're going to pick up their intensity, the Knights.
First goal of the season, 2 for Roman Hoffman. Not a bad way to bring it up with 4 rounds remaining in the competition. Once again, you can hear it in the effects mic. Been quiet there for a while, Pat, but now it's back. McGowan sends it on, and Kim is deemed to be the offender that time round. You've been around these parts for quite some time, Pat. How is football looking on the Gold Coast?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Look, it's good. We've got two NPL sides. Quite a good local competition as well. I mean, all the local teams did really well in the FFA Cup. They beat most of the FQPL teams. I think your Burleys and your Broadbeaches, Coomerers. I think they all had a good run. So there's some good players out there.
Here come the strikers on the attack again. Looks to be Kim. Maltby was waiting at the penalty spot, but Dylan gets to it first, and it's another corner here for the visitors right on the half-hour mark. And this place, it's improved in leaps and bounds, the facility here in the last 2 or 3 years.
I was actually player coach here back in the late 90s for a couple of years. I really enjoyed it. They're a great club, good people.
So corners played low. McGowan at the near post was the target for the strikers, as Brassard looks to go on the counter. There's 2 Knights players there, Smith and Nichols, former Raw teammates. Indeen getting towards the edge of the area. Kyle beats one defender, cuts it back for Brown. Almost shaped to take the shot, he does so, and deflection off McDermott, I fancy, and it'll be another corner here for the Gold Coast Knights.
Pendulum's gone back the other way.
Sure has. Big momentum change. And the wind will just die down. We just didn't have the chance. We're almost being blown off this platform here, Pat. It's moving and rocking. So another corner for the Knights, this time from the other side of the park. Once again, just holds up in the breeze and at the near post, and can that be poked away? Scott somehow manages to deny the Knights.
Yeah, there's a hint of offside in that, which I think he's given.
Right, I think we're good again for a couple of minutes.
He eased off a bit.
So Scott's goal kick sent high and long. Kyle nods on. Brown Put his teammate under some pressure there, but challenge unfairly from the Strikers player. Just over 10 minutes to play in this first half. Prasad. Again away by Ma. Matt Smith to chase it down. Nods back for his keeper in Langdon. Smallish crowd at the Croatian Sports Centre, braving the conditions this evening.
Lots of local games going on. There's a big game going on over at Nerang behind us, which is, I think, has some bearing on the top four. So I think it might have pulled some people away. Because this is a great fixture, this. You'd expect more people, wouldn't you?
Certainly when the FFA Cup game was held here, I think there probably would have been at least 1,200 here, I reckon. Now it's Brown, plays it short for Endine. Endine looped over the top. And again, the Strikers forced to retreat for a corner. Knights taking it quickly. It's a short corner. Schmidt. Now it's Hoffman, it looks like, again. And Dean. Dylan. Deflects heavily off Ma. Ball recycled by Austin into the area. Evades Nichols. Talked about it earlier, there should be big crowds here when the A-League teams come to town in a couple of weeks' time for the Surf City Cup.
Do you know what? I hope so. I mean, if the local people don't come out and support it, there's something wrong. So I really hope so, because that's going to be, you know, a good event.
Brisbane Roar, Perth Glory,
and the
Newcastle Jets,
yeah,
all involved in that tri-series over 3 nights.
And you're getting close to the beginning of the season as well. You know, another 4 weeks closer, so you'd like to think they'll be starting to get serious.
Prasad shapes up Caberlan. Nichols. And Smith. Dylan. Strikers just holding off, forcing the Knights back to the left. Dylan again looks up, tries and spots what forward progression the men in white can make. Endine. And the Strikers come away with it. Tried to poke it through for Maltby. It was a roadblock though for the Strikers in trying to achieve that, and Kyle just throws back the head. Fraction over hit from his teammate. McGowan. Richardson. McLean comes in search for the ball. McGowan again. Oh, almost. Free kick though.
Lucky there.
Very, very lucky. The Gold Coast Knights players almost thought it was Christmas there.
It's almost like they swap shirts. All of a sudden now the Strikers are the ones dropping deep.
So played short for McDermott. Coming out of his area is Langdon. Had to be accurate. Now McLean, is he going to spot the keeper off his line? He's chanced his arm. He's high and wide of the target though. McLean ever so awake to potential opportunities. Didn't quite catch Langdon off his line that time.
Well worth a go though.
Strikers searching for an equaliser in the 7 minutes before the half-time break. McGowan wins it, unfairly though, says the referee. Dylan fakes the free kick. And Smith. Here's Smith again. Cut out by Maltby. He's got McLean there in close proximity. Maltby's going to take on the defenders. And a good win by the Knights to recover. Matt Smith makes up for his earlier mistake.
That's 3 times they've given the ball away, playing out from the back like that.
What can the Strikers do? They're in their attacking territory. McDermott plays it square for Palmer. McGowan. Falls backwards to his centre-back colleague in Richardson. Over the top of McLean. Possession back with the Knights, and it's Nichols. Brown. Quick movement for Kyle. Fraser Hills now for the Strikers. Straight into the path of the Knights player. Langdon. Have a final check on what's going on around the grounds prior to the half-time break. So full time, and the Southwest Queensland Thunder did prevail against Moreton Bay, 3 goals to 0. 5 minutes into the second half, it's Lions leading Western Pride by 1 goal to 0, and in the FQPL elimination final, 56 minutes gone there, and Roachdale still lead Mitchelton by 1 goal to 0.
Woohoo.
Here it is for Kim. Kim, can he find the equaliser again? Langdon the saviour for his team. So the Strikers back with the ascendancy. It was theirs up until the Gold Coast Knights goal. Knights took over again in terms of controlling the play, but in the last couple of minutes it swung back the Strikers' way again. And they're looking for an equaliser before the break. 3.5 minutes to go. Looped over by Maltby, who a little slow back to his feet. Regathers his senses. Langdon sends his teammates up the park. Dermott didn't know a lot about it. Got a fortuitous touch. McGowan. Just shield this over the sideline in front of Nichols. Nichols couldn't get a foot to it either. Now it's Kim Langdon's off his line again. Kim! And again, the Strikers with another opportunity with Langdon off his line. There's a better attempt by Kim, but just couldn't quite find the right angle.
I think you've been very kind there.
I try to be.
I think when he looks back on that on video, he'll be disappointed.
So again, it holds up in the breeze. Maybe Kim can do better this time if he can latch onto it. Langdon retreats towards his line and moves it quickly. Is there time here for Knights to extend their advantage? Smith's got the long sleeves out tonight. Did you see the snow in the AFL last night in Canberra, Pat?
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
Used to live in Canberra. Snowed. I saw snow once. But yeah, they were extraordinary scenes as here come the Strikers once more.
Coughed it up again.
Maybe it's Nichols that will provide a second. Slide ball through, cut out by Cavallan. It's end to end at the moment in these final few minutes of the first half. Brown. Endine. Marr is his opponent. Beaten Chrissy Marr. Cuts back Endine. And McGowan out for a corner. So one last chance here for the Knights to attempt to pull out a 2-goal advantage going into the break. Schmidt, the man, just jogging over to take this corner. It's every time a corner's taken, Pat, I think. It just whips up momentarily. Back out for the corner taker. It's going to be too far, surely there.
Oh, he kept it in.
Wow, extraordinary effort. Able to get a cross in as well. Crowded pack. The Strikers hack away from danger as Adam Kersey checks his watch, decides that we've had enough in this first half. And at half-time at the Croatian Sports Centre, it's the Gold Coast Knights who lead the Brisbane Strikers by 1-0. Pat, what was your assessment of that first 45 minutes?
Oh, I think I was right in the end, wasn't I? I thought the Knights would nudge it in the first half. Look, if I was Owen, I'd say take it to them in the second half. It's not like they're fifth in the league. It's not like they're going to make the finals. Take it to them. They're very conservative, the Knights. They play a fairly structured game of football. If I was Owen, let the players free. Take it to them.
Well,
what's the worst that can happen? They get beat.
That's right, exactly, yeah. All right, well, the players are off to the sheds. We'll see in the second 45 whether the Knights can hold on to their lead or whether the Strikers can come back. At half-time, it's the Knights leading the Strikers by 1-0.
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit.
It's healthy and safe.
And fun.
I play for celebrations.
What's your reason? Join our team.
We swear a lot at Total Tools. We swear by our range. We swear by our service. And of course, we swear by our prices. So you'll know that you're buying at the best price every day. Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Hey guys, it's Andy here from Football Queensland. I'm checking in with you guys because I have a really exciting opportunity for anyone that played Aldi Mini Roos football in 2019. We are looking for the new face of Aldi Mini Roos to be our 2020 Play Football campaign front runner. Now we are looking for you guys to send in your videos of you acting. You could be introducing your dog, your cat, your mum, your dad, your football team, whatever it may be. Send us your videos and you may just be the star of Aldi Mini Roos in Queensland. Looking forward to seeing all your videos and picking that next front runner. See you guys soon. Check it out.
Why do I play football?
Why do we play football? I play for fitness.
For competition.
Community spirit. It's healthy and safe.
And fun.
I play for celebrations.
What's your reason? Join our team.
Well, the Make Us Your Second Team campaign started at the start of this season. We're not asking people to come here and make Knights their number one team. Me personally, I'm an Arsenal fan. So for me to come down here tonight, I'm making Knights my second team.
I'm Sam Smith. Don't worry about making us your first team, but can you make us our second?
Hi, I'm Max Brown from Gold Coast Knights. I know we may not be your first team, but make us your second team.
Alinta Energy Geothermal is proud to announce its partnership with Gold Coast Knights for the 2019 NPL season. Alinta Energy is making Gold Coast Knights their first team.
Well, welcome back to the Gold Coast Creation Sports Centre. Second half about to commence of our NPL Queensland round 27 match of the round. And half time, the difference between the sides is a Roman Hoffman goal on 27 minutes for the Gold Coast Knights. And the Gold Coast Knights lead the Strikers by 1-0, who look like they're about to make a couple of the changes, the Strikers here at half time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Double change, I think, back coming up. So let's pick up those changes for the Strikers. Looks like Josh Matsimon in 16 and Scott Halliday in 6.
So they've taken off Kim.
Dongyu Kim off.
Yeah.
And Zach Maltby off as well? No? Yes. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Strikers out nice and early for the second half as well. What does that usually mean as a team when you come out early? You keen, ready to go, or maybe not too many instructions coming from Owen Baker?
I'm trying to work out the changes because I don't think they're tactical, because both the boys didn't do too bad. Maybe he's giving them a rest.
I'm just having a look down in the change room. I can see someone on a massage table down there. I guess it now becomes a matter of squad management for Owen Baker. Like, nothing to play for in the league now. It's really only that FFA Cup campaign in 2.5 weeks against Manly. So squad management for that game, and who knows, you know, you get the right draw, you could make it up into the grand final. Could be the first NPL team into the FFA Cup final.
Well, he was telling me yesterday that because they can't make the finals now, the next 2.5 weeks is all about the FFA Cup, so, which is rightly so.
Lobbed up and it comes off the crossbar in the end. Does Schmidt's shot. Not sure whether Scott got a hand on it in the end, but
I'm not sure whether it was a shot. It looked a bit like a crop.
Is it going to make it to Brassard? It will. Takes on Cavalan. Cavalan go out just for a throw-in. So, yeah, some interesting times for the Strikers. A double change at half-time. Trying to pull back this 1-goal deficit that they have to the home side. Schmidt back for Nichols. Brown. Now it's Austin. Austin! And held by Bon Scott. So the Knights have come out the better in this second half.
The wind's actually moved around a little bit as well, so to favour the Knights.
And right on cue, up it comes again.
And goes the other way.
Those flags on the far side between the two benches fluttering around at all angles this evening. Knights in possession. All the way back to Langdon. Schmidt down the left-hand side. Can Prasad get in behind Cavalan? Now who's the last touch off? Referee says Cavalan. And a corner to the Knights. Taken quickly and shortly by Nichols, and it doesn't work out for the Knights. Looks like Mitch Nichols having a few words there to Jaden Prasad, saying wake up. Here's McGowan and Marr.
They've come out with a lot more intent, haven't they, the Knights?
Perhaps a rev up from Gray Pittock and Sean Lane, saying we're still in a title race, boys. A bit more urgency. Those premiership contenders, Lions on 62 points going into tonight's round. Peninsula on 60, of course. Peninsula that lost to Redlands last week, overtaken by Lions. Gold Coast Knights in third, sitting on 58, and Olympic playing tomorrow against the Sunshine Coast on 54. Looks a fraction too far for them at the moment. Played on sharply by Kyle. Here's Schmidt again. Nichols. Prasad. Schmidt again. The goal scorer, Hoffman. Dillon. Kyle. Again, Kyle trying to pick up the scraps. And here come the Strikers, overhit by McLean. That movement looked pretty good there from the Knights there, Pat.
They play some lovely football. I just find them frustrating sometimes because they don't seem to put teams away, do they? You know, you see a lot of their results, 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, and they're by far and away the better team. They just don't finish them off.
They did against the Strikers Early in the year, 6-1 at Perry Park on Easter Monday, but
yeah,
it's probably about the only one, isn't it?
Yeah, the only one that I can think of. But they play a great style of football.
Shannon Brady with a brace that day, and Matt Schmidt, Sam Smith, Jaden Prasad and Jared Kyle, the goal scorers for Gold Coast Knights on Easter Monday.
He's having a great season this year, JJ Prasad.
Always seems to as well. Had a brief stint in the NPL Victoria before coming back to Queensland.
Nick Panetta started off very well as well in the first half of the season. I think he's been injured. I think Sam Smith's just coming back from injury, so you know he's got a lot of depth in his squad.
Ma. McDermott in a scrap. It's Matcham playing up front for the Strikers. He was the goal scorer for the Strikers in that 6-1 loss that they had against the Gold Coast Knights. This team will be looking for him to match that effort this evening. Brown wins that. Prasad, Richardson, McDermott. Deflection falls fortuitously for Hills. Now McLean turns around in a circle. Palmer. Squeeze through for McLean. Looping ball on for Hills. Chests it first time. Then goes away from goal. Ma. And the Gold Coast Knights defence to the rescue.
I heard a funny little story when I was downstairs during the break, half-time break, and they were talking about Fraser Hills, and you did the commentary, didn't you, Wednesday night?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Yeah, and when Fraser scored the penalty, you said he's put it away. Apparently Fraser's put that on record, and on loop in his bedroom he's playing it over and over and over again.
Oh, whatever it takes, whatever keeps him happy.
Yeah.
Here he is, Fraser Hills. And again, after the return ball from Ma, and was looking for the free kick. Adam Kersey in good position disagrees with the assessment.
Fraser played all his junior football on the Gold Coast as well.
I was going to say Gold Coast native.
Yeah. West Ham supporter, but there you go.
EPL kicked off last night, of course. I'm happy. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Liverpool support.
Here's Ma. They'll require the experience of Ma and McLean to get them back into this match, the Strikers.
Just lacking some teeth there a little bit, aren't they, really?
McDermott comes under pressure. Cavalan. Comes down the line for Halliday. There he is again, coming on half-time, Scott Halliday. Bowled over by Jared Kyle. Not sure Jared can disagree with that one. So McLean's free kick. Edge of the area. Matcham and then ineffective from Richardson. Picks out Schmidt on this left-hand side. Smith. Hoffman. Dylan. Hills intercepts. Here come the Strikers once more. Looping, or sorry, I should say a low shot in. Looked like Ryan Palmer. Didn't really test Langdon in the end.
They've had the chances, haven't they?
They have. As you said, Dong-Yu Kim should have put that one away just before the half-time break. There's a comment going around the ground. Might have made for an interesting second half. Here's Nichols. Schmidt. Calling for it was Brown. McGowan to it first though. Nichols.
Ooh.
Yeah, cheap giveaway to his number 16, Hoffman into rescue.
And I was just about to say how he's held it all together in the middle of the park there. Kiss of death.
Someone's downstairs said, Pat, you know, it's a gold coin donation to get in here tonight. It's not a bad price to see two former A-League stars out there, Mitch Nichols and Matt Smith, is it?
100%. It amazes me how people even jump up and down about that.
And the pace of Hills almost tests the Gold Coast Knights defence.
All the money goes to charity as well, I believe. It goes to the Children's
Hospital,
Hospital.
I think,
yeah. They did a club visit there last week, so I believe.
Very active in the community, the Gold Coast Knights.
Yep.
And seen a couple of their pre-match functions that they get their charity partners in and their business partners in as well. As the Knights go on the attack, McGowan hassling. Corner here to the Knights.
Fraser Hill gingerly walking back there.
Yeah, suffering the ill effects of that earlier knock.
He's got a few pins in his ankle as well, so he's had ankle issues over the years. So.
Casually jogging back to help defend this corner. So here comes the corner in towards the back post. It's poked away by Halliday. And an offside flag, or it's crossed the goal line. So Prasad won't get the opportunity to provide a secondary cross. Coming up to the hour mark, and again the Knights continue to threaten. Kyle. Now McGowan called into action for the Strikers, and Marr was summarily upended, and Chrissy Marr takes no quarter. Was involved in that little scuffle the other night against the Wellington Phoenix.
Yeah, I watched a couple of times on replay there, and speaking to Owen about that yesterday, Owen actually said that was the catalyst to lift the team. So,
really? So just going around the grounds, it's still 1-0 Lions leading Western Pride in the NPL. In the FQPL elimination final, they're into stoppage time. And Rochdale leads Mitchelton by 3-2, so we'll just keep an eye on that over the next couple of minutes and see whether Mitchelton can force extra time or whether their season will be over for 2019 as Prasad lifts that over the crossbar. Funny match the other night, wasn't it? Strikers were on top for the first half, and then after that second goal the Strikers conceded, Wellington decided to wake up, I think.
Yeah, like I said to you before, I think they didn't treat Strikers with enough respect. So
Palmer. Strikers come again. McLean. Broussard finds himself in a bit of space to operate in. Nichols.
Mitch is running the show at the moment.
And the first yellow card of the night comes for Michael McGowan. Adam Kersey deciding couldn't keep the card in his pocket any further. And now there's a bit of a conversation between the two. So Nichols skips forward. Hoffman will take the free kick. Off the back of the legs of Bruce Smart. Throw in into the box, nodded away by Richardson. Need to clear here the strikers. And Nichols, not his best effort.
Looks like Gray's thinking about making some changes there. He's not a big user of his bench, by the way.
No, he's not. No, I have noticed that. Which is interesting, considering you say that, you know, he's got a lot of depth that he can call on.
Great depth. I think if he makes any changes, he'll probably bring Sam Smith on for Jared Kyle, and I reckon Danny Morton will get a game. But
let's see if Pat's predictions come true in the remaining stage of the second half. Campbell under some pressure, gets it away. McGowan, McLean, squeezed by two defenders. The Knights back in possession once more. Here's Nichols. Hoffman, the goal scorer. McLean looks to launch Matcham here. Can he outrun Oscar Dillon? Matcham the victor that time round. Palmer. Now McDermott. Mars loop down the left-hand wing. Full time, and Rochdale's season remains alive. They've eliminated Mitchelton from the FQPL final series to live for another day. Rochdale 3-2 victors over Mitchelton. They'll go on to take on either the Sunshine Coast Wanderers or Capella next weekend. Depends who wins that other elimination final tomorrow as to who plays who. First, Sunshine Coast Wanderers takes on the lowest winner. Capella finishing second, take on the highest winner. Threaded through. McLean. Caballan. Plenty of white shirts back and tried to curl that. Caballan going one way, then switched the other.
To be fair, that wasn't a bad ball there. I just don't think Josh Matcham read it. Good to see a strikers junior as well coming through.
Production line at the strikers, isn't it? So midway through the second half, Gold Coast Knights with this 1-0 lead. McGowan. Cabalan. Thinked over the top for McLean. Palmer has got Matcham on his bike first to it. However, was Austin.
This last 10 minutes it's all been strikers.
Yeah, just unable to find a way to goal. As looks like Gold Coast Knights about to ready their first substitution of the evening. McLean. Referee will bring it back for the earlier infringement, and Kersey points out a number of offences to be Luke Austin, who is the first Gold Coast Knights player to be booked tonight.
Looks like Sam Smith.
Players lining up at the edge of the 18-yard area, awaiting this free kick from the strikers. Putting towards the edge of the 6-yard box, McGowan was waiting. Knights with the defensive effort as Prasad continues to go on himself. Prasad, oh, great save by Scott in the first instance, could only put it into the path of Adam Endine. And midway through the second half, the Gold Coast Knights have doubled their advantage. Bon Scott unable to deny the Gold Coast Knights that time round. And they're 2 goals to the good now, the locals, Pat.
Yeah, again on the break against the run of play. So.
Ray Priddick just decides that for the time being, I won't make that change. That was good enough to send Sam Smith back to a warm-up. Look at that ball hold up in the breeze. Prasad. It's gusty now. Schmidt, Nichols, Hoffman, Austin beats one, Austin across the face of goal. Now Sam Smith's going to come on. Let's see if your prediction was right, Pat. Indeed you were. So Jared Kyle will hand over the captain's armband, it looks like. No, he's not. He was wandering over that way. And now he realises he will be the man that will be replaced.
No, it's like for like, isn't it? So.
Yes, very much so. There's the captain's armband being handed over to its usual owner, Sam Smith, as you say, coming back from injury. It's going to end up right on the scoreboard.
Look, he plays the 4-3-3, Gray, and a few times he's tried to play Sam and Jarrett together, and I don't think it really works with one of them out wide, especially when you've got people like Panetta and JJ Prasad who are true wingers.
Here is Jaden Prasad, and Brown stumbles over. His header ends up wide of the target. So just under 20 minutes to play. Now match it around. Richardson. Smith tries to hassle Hills. Referee's playing advantage. None coming for the strikers. Check on that full-time result between Lions and Western Pride. And Pat, we might then have a bit of a chat about the run-in to the premiership. And Lions have ended up 2-0 winners against Western Pride. So that takes them now to 65 points temporarily. They are 4 points ahead of Gold Coast Knights, who will move into second on the live ladder. Peninsula on 60 and Olympic playing tomorrow on 54.
I can't see the Lions dropping the ball now.
Southwest Queensland and Sunshine Coast Fire in rounds 28 and 30. But the stumbling block could be Redlands there in the middle if ever there's a chance for the other teams to catch up.
Yeah, possibly. Who have the Knights got in their running?
So Gold Coast Knights next week, they travel to the Brisbane Roar. They then have a bye and Olympic at home in the final round, but they've also got a catch-up game here against Western Pride on the 21st of August.
So they're all potentially slippery, aren't they? You don't know who you get with the Roar, do you?
True. Olympic down here, that'll be the tough one.
Yeah, Ben won't want to lose that either, but he can't.
And then Peninsula next week have the bye, so that'll catch them up to the rest of the pack. And then Gold Coast United at home and Moreton Bay away in the final round, which is, despite Moreton Bay's ladder position, a bit of a derby game, and that is always a bit of a danger.
Yeah, they've been disappointing this year, Moreton Bay.
Haven't they just, yeah. There's the Strikers about to make their third and final change.
I think Pen Power are probably above expectations. Coming straight in and finishing second, third, making the finals.
Fraser Hill's replaced. Get that substitute in just a moment. It's number 17 who we don't have on our team sheet, of course. So it's either Danilo Kovacevic or Aidan Bender. And it's Danilo Kovacevic who's
be Danilo.
Changed jerseys. Yeah, just getting back to Peninsula Power. It was a miraculous effort to try and, be unbeaten for 2 years across multiple leagues, and it was just going to be a matter of time before you come closer to that loss, as they say. The more you win, the closer you come to a loss.
First loss, and I think they relied a lot on Briggs, the boy scoring all the goals. So. But they'll come back stronger next year, you watch.
And just tidying up, Olympic travel to Perry Park next week to take on the Strikers, host the Brisbane Roar, and as we said before, travel down here against the Gold Coast Knights in round 30. So, yeah, definitely Lions to lose at the moment. You'd figure that they're obviously top of the table still, 65 points.
I think they're too good to lose focus now.
4 points, 3 games to play. Could be back-to-back for Lions. Looking that way, certainly.
Arguably they're probably the most professional club in the competition. I think Mooney's got every resource at his fingertips to make sure they finish the job.
And more importantly, they're such a cohesive unit, and the boys want to play for Mooney as well. It's more than half the struggle of the coach, isn't it? Too far for Kovacevic to track down as the Gold Coast Knights about to make another change.
That's Danny Morton.
And all eyes wondering who he'll come on to replace. Is it Luke Austin?
Yeah, it looks like Luke Austin.
So second change of the night.
There you go.
For the Gold Coast Knights.
I was at 100% there.
You've done well.
Yeah.
Can you predict if they'll, firstly, whether there'll be a third and who will be the third?
Yeah. No, Gray's pretty predictable. Sorry, Gray. Look, them two would be first team players in any other, starting players in any other team in the league, wouldn't they? So
couldn't reach Matcham. Michael Austin watching on from Peterborough, England, supporting the Gold Coast Knights. Great to have you all company. It's probably much warmer over there than what it is here. Cabalan. Can the strikers get some late hope here? Goal will be handy in the next few minutes to try and get a point out of this game and frustrate the Gold Coast Knights in their premiership quest. Here's Matcham. Halliday. Palmer. McGowan. Ma. Plenty of white shirts behind, not allowing the strikers to get into that attacking third. It'll be Nichols. It's going to get out to Prasad. Free kick given away by Palmer. We're almost going through the motions at the moment, Pat. It's almost like a training run.
And you know what? This what frustrates me about the Knights. They should be really putting them to the knife now, but it's like they take the foot off the pedal a little bit.
Two in the wall for the strikers. Here comes the free kick. It's played short as a variation for Prasad. Lifts it off the left foot. And Sam Smith tapped away. Gold Coast Knights wrap up the 3 points. Max Brown, 10 minutes from time, gets himself onto the score sheet for his 10th goal of the season to bring him into double figures individually.
I'll make a lie around me.
So the Gold Coast Knights comfortably ahead now. Would need a miraculous effort from this makeshift strikers team to force a result now as Gray Piddick makes his third and final change of the evening. So it'll be Adam Endine who will be replaced.
Back.
Shannon Brady perhaps?
Yeah, looks like Shannon.
So the Shannon Brady Appreciation Club will be out in force now. see him getting minutes, the final 10 minutes of this match. As I said earlier, scored a brace when these two sides met earlier in the season.
What depth they've got, though. You bring on Sam Smith, Shannon Brady, and Danny Morton.
Palmer's going for some late pride for the Strikers. Attempted back heel from Matcham. Knights on the counter. Cross in. Prasad was backtracking. Long range effort. Ironic cheer from those in the area on the balcony.
They've been very quiet tonight. Normally they're having a bit of a sing-song over there in that corner, but
it's usually full, that area. It's not that full tonight.
Probably sitting at home listening to your dulcet tones.
And yours.
And yeah.
Of course, you can check up tomorrow on Peninsulas and Olympics quest for the premiership. Those two games against their opponents on the Football Queensland live stream channel tomorrow afternoon. Another ball ends up there, this time Richardson. Of course, the other elimination final from the FQPL coming up tomorrow. Logan hosting Ipswich Knights. Jared Nick along with you tomorrow afternoon for that. And then Monday night, NPLW action. The game rescheduled from last night between Moreton Bay and Capella Bar that Lions will be nervously waiting on. Couldn't clinch the premiership, the Lionesses, last week. Here's Danny Morton. Ma was fouled against. Halliday. McLean. Didn't get the best of service there from his teammate and couldn't quite get the touch he was looking for. This would be a good one. Smith against McGowan. McLean. Urges Matcham to move forward. Halliday. Can't connect in that final third at the moment, the Strikers.
They've lost their shape a little bit now, looking a little bit ragged. And quite tired, actually, to be honest with you.
Understandable. Backing up 72 hours after that FFA Cup game. Extra time and penalties. Boys might have had a couple of drinks, did they?
I would imagine so. One or two.
Some might have been late to work on Thursday. Here's Nichols. Hold was the call for Brown. Here's Brown again, in combination with one of his other goal scorers, Hoffman it was. Go to ground was Brady. No whistle from Adam Kersey. Cut out by Halliday, or it was Halliday. Nichols, just a bit of frustration.
There's another player to watch for the future, though. Danilo Kovacevic.
Kovacevic, yeah.
Yeah, he's one for the future. He's another Strikers junior. Very good young player. Give him another season.
Matcham. Here he is again, the aforementioned Kovacevic. This time he loses out to Prasad though. Hoffman. Haven't they got one more in them? The Knights. So what's that adding up so far? 7 goals in the first game, 6 in the FFA Cup, that's 13, and 3 here tonight, that's 16 goals between these two teams this year. Poked on, and Scott near post again. Halliday, Capellan, that's McDermott, I should say. What can the strikers do? Bring it out of their defensive territory. McLean. Under 3 minutes of time remaining before any stoppages that Adam Kersey decides to add. Time for late consolation for the strikers. Palmer. You have to beat these white shirts to achieve that feat, however. Palmer. McLean. McLean again from long range, and Langdon hasn't had much to do in this second half.
No, they've been very disciplined at the back, haven't they, the Knights? Hard to break down.
McDermott. Couldn't quite get it right there between McDermott and Matcham. So the Gold Coast Knights in their attacking half. Fourth would boost their confidence going into this run into the finals. Show that they've got some goal scoring form. Here's Matcham. McLean. Back for Matcham, who's shaped up to angle towards goal. McLean. McLean, quick touch on. So about to complete the 90. It'll just be stoppage time remaining now, and there shouldn't be too much of that.
2 minutes, I think.
Couple of subs, couple of goals, no injuries. No real reason for Adam Kersey to play too much extended time. One of the goal scorers, Brown. Schmidt. Smith. And Dillon. Nichols. Smith. Flag had gone up from the assistant anyway. Dying embers of this game playing out. Adam Kersey checks the watch.
If they don't meet each other in the semis sometime, I think the Knights and the Lions is going to be the grand final.
So it's shaping up at the moment that
can they meet them?
Lions will play Olympic in the first round, first versus fourth, and then Power versus Gold Coast Knights. It'll be the other semi-final, and both winners through to the grand final. So what's that now? A 7-point gap between Gold Coast Knights and Olympic. Both teams with 3 games to play after this round. Adam Kersey checks the watch for one final time, and the Gold Coast Knights prevail in our round 27 NPL Queensland match of the round. Strikers were the better side up until the Gold Coast Knights scored the first goal through Roman Hoffman in the 27th minute. A brief period, then there was Gold Coast all the way from there pretty much in the first half. A brief period for the Strikers to start off with, but 2 goals in the second half to the Gold Coast Knights sees them claim the 3 points. In a 3-0 victory against the Brisbane Strikers, Pat, what did you make of the game in the end?
In the end, they were too strong, too fresh, too much depth on the bench. Strikers were missing them 2 key players, not as strong off the bench, so they actually got weaker. So I think once the second goal went in, it was all over.
Well, from a blustery Gold Coast, we'll say goodbye in just a moment. Just a reminder to join Jared Neck tomorrow afternoon on the Football Queensland Facebook page for the second FQPL elimination final between Logan and Ipswich Knights. But from the Gold Coast, thanks Pat for your company tonight.
Thank you, Ray, for nursing me through my debut.
Very good one at that. We're going to say goodnight, everyone, and on behalf of all the team, it's Rafe Griffin signing off. The Gold Coast Knights 3-0 winners over the Brisbane Strikers.